If there's one thing the 80s taught us, it was to keep an eye out for small carnivorous creatures. Whether it was the Ghoulies, the Munchies, bonus points for those who remember them, or even Hobgoblins, which you might have caught at Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Don King!
Amy, would you just go back in the house and leave me alone?
I see your point. Yes, I agree.
These little buggers had no problem taking a bite out of anyone that was unlucky enough to cross paths with them. However, the two biggest monsters of the bunch that ruled the decade with their unending appetite had to be Gremlins and Critters. The Gremlins start off as cute little Mogwai, but as soon as you get them wet, they multiply. Then if they eat after midnight, they mutate into horrible green gremlins. Before you know it, they'll take over your whole town while wreaking as much havoc as possible. If you're more worried about vicious fuzzballs from outer space, then Critters has you covered. These deadly little guys are like rolling piranhas. They'll devour anything and everything that gets in their way without a second thought. Critters like to have a good time, but there'd better be an open buffet. Let's see how they stack up when we pit them against each other here on Face Off!
Disclaimer. No actual science was used to determine the outcome of Face Off. Your results may vary. Please do not consume Face Off if you are allergic to conjecture, opinion, or general nonsense.
Round 1. Adaptability. If you're gonna overtake a small town or a New York skyscraper, then you have to be pretty damn adaptable. In the first Gremlins movie, we see these little devils run rampant through the quiet town of Kingston Falls. The main thing they adapt to really quickly is human life and those creature comforts. Yes, the Gremlins become enamored with things like beer, movies, and most importantly, Christmas candy. In the second film, before mayhem completely breaks out, they actually evolve thanks to some superpowered chemicals at the lab in Clamp Center. Now they can turn into electricities.
You just said noun and gremlin, like you playing Mad Libs. You just like a child. You have the brain of a child. You do not have a high IQ, but you haphazardly came up with a gremlin that's just made out of bolts that is zigzagging all over the room and is done completely in animation. You a crazy person, and your idea's in the movie. Done. Next.
Spiders.
You mean a gremlin with 8 legs and a thorax just catching pretty ladies in a web in an office building? Oh my God, it's in the movie. I love it.
A bat creature.
You mean a gremlin with leathery wings just flying around, flip-flopping, bust through a wall, make a perfect bat symbol in the wall, get outside, get in some wet concrete, jump up on a building and just dry in place like a gargoyle gremlin? We are cooking with gas now. I love it. It's in the movie.
A smart gremlin.
You talking about a gremlin with glasses who could talk and sing New York, New York? That's brilliant. It's in the movie. Done.
Whoa, you said that nothing was final.
That was before I heard the words brainy and gremlin in the same sentence together.
And even a female.
Lipstick, boobies, bitch, you have me and little gremlin but JJ. I love it so much that it's not only in the movie, but it's definitely in the movie. There's no backsies on that one, no penny taxis. Yes, 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 in the movie, done! That's why we need a woman in the writer's room.
But when it comes to good old chaos, they don't seem to be able to look past their simple-minded goals. Critters, on the other hand, find a way to take advantage of any given situation. In the first film, we see that the more they eat, the bigger they get. This is a weird power that is never again brought up in the sequels, but they can eat through just about anything, so if something's standing in the way of their food, they have no problem chewing through it to get to their goal. Even when they're almost blown up, they can band together in a giant critter ball to roll over anything in their path and leave behind a bloody mess in their wake. They can even fly spaceships, so if worst comes to worst, they can just leave the planet and find food somewhere else. Because of this, the first round goes to Verdict Critters.
Did you see that, Charlie? That was the best one we ever did.
Yeah, that was real good.
Round 2, weaknesses. Even the meanest creatures on the block have some natural weakness that keeps them in check.
Now I want you to go out there and off that coos.
We can't, Coach.
Oh, for Pete's sake, look, she's getting out. Go chop her head off or something.
In the case of the Gremlins, they actually have a couple. They are susceptible to the usual kitchen gadgets, such as a powerful mixer or a good old microwave. A handy sword will do the trick too. Their true kryptonite, however, is bright light, specifically sunlight. While we don't want to see our friend Gizmo get caught up in any sun rays, it's always a good idea to find a bright light source when going up against the demonic gremlins. The big baddie Stripe falls victim to a rising sun in the original movie. In the sequel, the gremlins are quickly dispatched when the electric gremlin is thrown into the fray as the rest of the group is sprayed down with a water hose. Shock them enough and they'll melt pretty much like any other creature. Now, critters are a hell of a lot harder to get rid of.
Don't worry about a thing, boys. I'll take care of that fraud.
A well-timed flash or ray of sunshine is just gonna let them know you're there. But they fall prey to the same thing most living things do. Guns, guns, and more guns. There are a few other things that can take out a critter as well. Falling into a deep fryer is one of them. Crispy. And just like gremlins, electricity can fry one of those little suckers. While they don't have any special skills that help with a gunshot wound, they sure don't have any of the pesky reactions to common things like sunlight. So, round 2, we gotta give it to critters. Round 3, Holiday Cheer. If you want to see some of the happiest gremlins on Earth, then look no further than the holiday season. Throughout the film, we see gremlins enjoying Christmas time and making merry in their own unique way. Some gremlins enjoy Christmas cookies, others like climbing the Christmas tree, but the really excited ones head over to Mrs. Deagle's to let her enjoy their caroling in one of the greatest scenes ever put to celluloid. And as anyone who has had to endure their family over the holiday festivities, they like to end the night at the local bar, drowning their holiday cheer in a big mug of beer. Critters aren't too big on Christmas, but will gladly show up for the Easter season. They begin by getting all painted up as Easter eggs for the annual egg hunt. Their textured surface really pops the bright colors for the season, and when the Easter bunny shows up, they are really excited to give him a big hug that leaves him hopping for joy. He hops so much that he hops right through the window of the church to greet all the parishioners. It's a fun holiday for all. That said, while egg hunts are fun, you'll never beat caroling gremlins. Verdict: Gremlins. Round 4, Singing. Yes, singing. As we've just established, the gremlins love to sing. They're a big hit on the caroling circuit. When they go to the movies, they love to sing along to all their favorite Snow White songs. By the time Gremlins 2 came around, they even learned to put on show-stopping musical numbers.
And step around the hall a bit. New York, New York.
These guys aren't bad.
Their production value truly went to the next level once they got their choreography down. Sadly for the critters, they are about as tone-deaf as it gets, but in order to fight back against the gremlins, they do have an ace up their sleeve. They bring in the one, the only, Ugg's inspiration for his Earth look, Johnny Steele. He's able to take over the airwaves with his 80s rock and his Bon Jovi-inspired personality and will charm anyone with an earshot. But even with Johnny Steele, the critters are simply no match for the force that is the gremlins' high production values. That means, verdict, Gremlins. Round 5, Appetite. If there's one thing gremlins like to do, it's snack. They mostly subsist on candy and sweets. In fact, the first gremlin we see is chowing down on some cookies before he is dispatched. There's also the sweet-toothed devil in the lab who throws away an apple before being enticed by a Snickers bar. When Stripe heads out to the concession stand, he is disappointed to find it completely ransacked. Luckily for him, he locates a store with candy nearby. The only real food we see the sinister gremlins eat is back when they were tiny Mogwai. They trick Billy into giving them a plate full of leftover fried chicken. Critters love to eat. They will eat just about anything they can get their mouths on. They're especially fond of meat. Their destruction of the hungry heifer shows just how much they love to eat. Once they rampage through the town, they eat cows, people, and even a hamburger factory. If they aren't stopped, they'll seriously eat anything that moves. It's hard for the gremlins, let alone anyone, to compete with that amount of appetite. Verdict: Critters. Round 6, versus humans. Each creature has found that they usually run afoul of humans. For Gremlins, their main antagonist is Billy Peltzer. He very irresponsibly takes care of Gizmo, breaks the rules, and ends up unleashing gremlins onto his cozy town. He is able to blow up a theater full of gremlins, but still has to fight off Stripe in the department store. Fittingly, Gizmo gets the final blow in to rid the town of Stripe for good. In the follow-up, Billy seems at a loss, but does finally take out a lobby full of gremlins with the electric gremlin. 2 for 2, not bad. The Critters run into the Brown family and have to face off against Brad Brown twice. They end up losing each time. Their real antagonist is the local drunk Charlie. He leaves with the bounty hunters to become one himself after the first film. Charlie has faced off with these little monsters 4 times and they really don't stand a chance against him. One thing they did do though is face off against an Oscar winner in the form of a young Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leo.
The fact they still had a franchise after being smited by the good looks of that guy is a miracle. So, verdict? Critters.
And then I started getting these messages.
This is Patrol GXP 1198 calling Alpha Tango Delta. Come in. Over.
Do you hear that?
Charlie, it's Jeff. I'm on Route 22.
While the Gremlins put up a good fight, they just couldn't stand up to the mighty razor-sharp teeth of the Critters. If Leo couldn't bring them down, then nothing could.
That's what everybody says, but with all due respect, miss, I'm not the one hanging off the back of a ship here.
Both sides put up a valiant fight this day. It was the Krites
The Krites?
Critters. Krites.
that were able to chew their way to victory. Winner, Critters.
You must not be thinking clearly.
No, Woody. For the first time, I am thinking clearly.
Maybe someday we'll get another adventure with the Gremlins and they can show us some new tricks they've learned. Until then, it looks like this eating contest will remain bested by the eating machines from outer space. But don't let us have the final word. Tell us in the comments which creature is your favorite, Critters or Gremlins. And as always, thanks for watching.